Now let's discuss CRM series parts and service quoting. First, what we need to do is search for the company or the equipment that the quote is for. So in this case, I'm just going to search for a company called Mining Group. And I'll select that company link. And let's say I want to quote parts and services for this Komatsu D65 PX15E0. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And I'm going to select the drop down, New Parts Service Quote, select Go. And it'll open my quote form. First you want to select the quote type. It'll automatically populate the description with a quote type and the model. Who at that company is producing that quote. If I were logged in, it would select my name. I'm an executive, so I'd have to select that person. Who's the contact to receive the quote? In this case, Steve. And the status of the quote. I'm going to set this to working. Now, you can start building the quote by either assigning the services that you want to put on the quote or the parts. Let's first start with services. So I'll say this is for undercarriage. The job in this case is remove and install, and the component that I want to remove and install is, say, a track assembly. Now it will populate automatically the hours and the quantity. In this case now I need to select a rate, and the rates can be defined within your system, so you can set up multiple rates for the different types of component groups. Now I simply want to select the link to add the job to the quote. Then I could select other options. I may want to do an install of track shoes, and I can select modify code of new. It'll automatically place the hours. Now I can change those hours in the quantity if I want it, and then my rate. And again, you can select add job to quote. You understand how that works. Now to add parts, there's a couple ways to do that. I can select the tab that says add assigned parts, and these are the parts that are assigned in HE Central to the make and model. So you'll find parts that are assigned in HE Central to make and model, and from there you can select them. So if I want it, say, undercarriage, then I can select get parts, and what this is saying is these are the OEM parts, and these are a preferred vendor. What a preferred vendor is again, under CRM series administration, you can you can define who your preferred vendors are. Now, if you wanted to go outside your preferred vendors, you could select all vendors and get a list of all vendors, not just those that are on your preferred list. In this case, there aren't any additional ones, but that's what that's for. So it'll pull in only those parts that from those vendors you want to work with. So if you want to go outside that realm, you can select all vendors and so forth. Now from here, you simply select the part that you want. You select the add link to place it onto the quote. Now you also have the ability to add parts on the fly as well. Now we also give you the ability to search for parts that are not assigned to a make and model in HE Central. To do that, you come under Part Select, and say as an example, if I'm looking for parts that start with 14Y, then I can select Search, and what it will do is, this case, list preferred vendor parts that start with 14Y. Now I can, again, same thing, I could go outside my preferred vendor and search all vendors within the database for parts that start with, or in this case, really contains 14Y. So if you wanted to add a part, I'm going to give this part a value, then again, you would just simply select the add link on that part and it'll place it onto the quote. And as you can see, it's continually adding the parts under this section here, in this data grid, in this section here. Now, you also have the ability to put other charges in, such as freight. and you can give it a price and select add charges. And then there's also the ability to add or really subtract incentives or discounts. So I'll give it a name of discount, say $100, whatever it might be, and then add that incentive in. You can see it will deduct that amount from your extended price here. We can also add quotes now comments rather. Now these comments will not appear on the quote. The comments will just appear against the quote so that other users of crmSeries can see them. Whatever that comment may be. And then you can select additional items or comments to appear within the quote also. Now, as you can see, these two top comments I cannot edit. Those are required, and those will always be with the quote. Now you have the ability under crmSeries administration to define which items should always appear with your quote, or which comments. Now I have the ability on this one as an example to edit it and change it, and then I also can add additional comments here and add them to the quote. So you have multiple ways of adding text, associate that with a quote. Now from here I can select the preview or save it, go back to the quote. I'm going to go ahead and select preview. What preview does is pull that quote up as one might see it, or you might hand it to the customer. From here I can send it as an email, or I can print it or go back to the quote. So when you select the preview, it automatically saves the quote. So this particular quote was saved for me already. So that's how we work with a quote. Let me go back, and then under the equipment section, under the parts and services, that's where you'll see the quotes that are assigned to this particular customer.